Hi everyone! It's been a long time, hasn't it? If you're new to this channel, my name is Daniel. If you're a long-time subscriber, thank you for tuning back in. Let's turn this off a minute. So, what you're looking at here is something I've been working on over January with my dad. It's an N-gauge model railway. And I promised you guys an update to show you progress, and I'm sorry that I haven't been able to update you. Things have been progressing really fast actually at my job, different changes, but now that I got some free time, I can finally share with you all the different things we've been doing to get this model railway up and running. So here's the update that I promised. So it all started with this board here. Well, actually, it's part of an old door. But it actually ended up working perfect because, well, an N-gauge layout is not going to be particularly heavy, is it? And plus, the door is about the perfect size to fit on my coffee table in my flat, so this was a good starting base. Now what was next was just to get some tracks. So my dad and I went down to the Fru Model Center. We're going to bring them up actually quite a bit in this video. They've been super helpful so far. And we just got some random used track. Now, you got to kind of keep in mind, when we started this, we didn't know that Pico actually made two different types of track. First, there's streamline, and then there's set track. We didn't really know what we were getting. We were just trying to find something that we could use as sort of a starting base to put around the outside. And to be fair, I think it was a good start. Cost me about $56.50 for all the track we got as a starting base, but it kind of gave me an initial idea on how I wanted my final design to look in terms of decoration. And this might be where I may have thought a little bit too far ahead, because whilst looking into how I wanted the track to look and all the different parts that we needed, I was thinking about how to decorate it, because, well, my dad would be dealing with mostly putting the track together, soldering it, and making sure it's functional. I would be dealing with all the asset decoration. So on a sort of a mid-temperature summer afternoon, I, just sort of stood in my dad's garage and I used some of the track that we bought to try and draw out a plan for the track so that I could take it into some art software and just come up with a generic design. And this is kind of what I came up with. So as you can see in the bottom right, we have a station with two platforms, one main line and one heritage. There's like a town in the middle with some shops and parks. There's a forest in the top right, which will be sort of an entranceway for potentially changing locomotives if I decide I want to take this to model rail shows. And in the top left is a farm, sort of like a farm field with a shed. I've got some sheep in there. I got some cows. I'll add some other animals here or there. But yeah, this is kind of the plan that I had in place. So yeah, from left to right, we've got a farm, a housing estate, a lake garden, co-op, or it could be a Tesco, whatever, a train depot, a pub with a beer garden, because of course, shops and businesses, a park, neighborhood, a train station, obviously, and a forest entrance. I kind of had my heart set on this design, but as you'll see later on, it probably isn't going to turn out exactly like this, and I'll explain my reasoning soon. So when it came to planning the track, we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. So they both have different measurements and stuff, which did definitely make the process a lot harder for me to
for us to plan out what I wanted in conjunction with my plan.
But I didn't have much time to think about it, unfortunately, until after Christmas anyway, because, well, a lot of progress had been made in my personal life in terms of all sorts of different areas. Plus, I'd been so busy visiting heritage railways that it kind of went to the back burner. But when I stayed over at my parents' house for Christmas, like I do every year, my dad and I had a look at the track again, just try and get some ideas on what it is exactly we need to get, because we actually decided to go to Froome Model Railway Show, and we actually got a lot of helpful information there. It was there where we got talking to the N-Gauge Society, who were showing off their layout, N-Gauge layout of Bristol Road, which to me gave me Bristol vibes. You know, I love Bristol. So yeah, that one actually became my favorite layout of the day. Not just because they were so helpful and friendly, and they really, really were, but because the layout looked incredible. Definitely took me back to the days when I used to be a uni student traveling home for the weekends to visit my parents on either a First Great Western or a Great Western Railway track. And yeah, they were, my dad was asking questions about the different types of tracks. There's like different bends and gauges, and there's different types of tracks. And it was there where we actually discovered all sorts of information, whilst I was mostly just mesmerized by all the different little models. And it really gave me inspiration on what I want to do with my layout once I'm ready. Now, the word that we were introduced to was radius. Now, this was new to me. So they walked us through how there are different radiuses for different bends of track and different sizes. And when we got all that information, went back and we actually measured up the board, we discovered that I could easily get away with a first and a second radius on the size board that I had. I couldn't get away with a third radius because it was just much too big, because first radius track is something like 228 millimeters. Second radius 264. So then if you made the jump up to third radius, which is around 298 millimeters, just for a rough estimate, it just would have gone over the track. So that's okay. I didn't want anything too big anyway, and it still meant that I could follow my plan.
Honestly, I couldn't have asked for much friendlier, traders, staff, and exhibitors at that model show. Honestly, definitely gave me and my dad some easier aspects on how we could get the right track. And yeah, most of it did come from Froome Model Shop.
In the meantime, I was making other purchases for my layout. The first thing I picked up whilst I was at the East Somerset Model Shop was actually some modern farming figures for the farm section of my layout. All different farmer characters, a little, border collie dog is there in the corner, just to add some depth to when I eventually put the farm, the shed, and all the animals around it, which I think will, add to that West Country Somerset feel. Speaking of sheds, okay, so it's not quite a cattle shed, but you could say this is the farmer's shed where he keeps all his tools and supplies. Again, just adding depth eventually to the farm section. I'll probably end up buying more to add over the plan as it goes along, but this is just to get me started. Now, these are some of my favorite pickups. These are different wagons to go onto the heritage side of my layout. So the first one, I actually got this during the Flying Scotsman day travel in the gift shop at the West Somerset Railway, and it's a limited edition ventilated van, 107 of 50, which I just thought would look really unique on my layout. And for such a small thing, it's got some good detail. It's not like amazing 100% high quality detail, but to celebrate 150 years down the line, I thought it was definitely worth purchasing as a collector's piece. The second one was just a 7-plank open wagon, but this one was for the Somerset and Dorset Railway Trust. And I love going down to the Somerset and Dorset Railway sometimes, Midsomer Norton, talking to the staff and volunteers, hoping and always looking to see how they develop and change and improve the railway. And I just wanted to sort of support them in my own way. Next, hello, Mr. Oliver. I found myself at the Through Model Railway Show, and this was my only purchase of the day because, I didn't want to spend too much, going into the new year. A Great Western Railway towed brake van. If you're having a goods train, you need a brake van. And this one was really neat, actually, because I didn't realize, so I started recording, that there's actually a little figure of a garden there. Now then, I think it's time to show you what I saved best for last. This is a Graham Farish Midsomer Norton signal box. I got this on New Year's Day from the Somerset and Dorset Railway. I'd actually been eyeing this up for a long time since I went to the Wickham line inspection trolley day, because I just thought it would be perfect for my layout. So inside the little bag is the toppers for the chimney. And here's the model itself. And as you can see, it's so loyal to the design of the current signal box currently at Midsomer Norton South Station. I just spent a long time just staring at this because I couldn't believe how much detail you could get on such a small scale model. Modelings and model railways have come such a long way since I was a kid buying train sets. Okay, just gonna put her back safely into the polystyrene. Now, I have everything I need to change the points and pull a small goods train. But surely, I'm going to need a train and a controller, right? Well, Santa Claus came to town, and this good little boy got a few train things in my stocking. Quite literally, in fact. So, apologies for the low quality pictures, what I got, but these are the things I got for Christmas I'm using as a backdrop while I talk about what is most important here for my layout. So, the first thing I really wanted to talk about is the biggest brick item, the Gauge Master Analog GMC Combi single track controller. So I'm starting off with sort of an analog layout. As you'll see in a bit, my dad actually soldered all the track together to get it all running perfectly so that I don't lose power when I change points and all that sort of thing. So if I do want to convert it to DCC somewhere down the line, and I'm probably going to, I can always look into something else along those lines, but this is the perfect place for me to get my start. And it's honestly, for such a small little package, it's a very nifty little controller. I'm surprised by how handheld it is, despite its size. As for the train, well, every Christmas, my family and I, we do this thing called Secret Santa, where we pick a name out of a hat, and we got to find a present for that person. It saves a lot of money having to buy loads of ludicrous presents for so many different people. It's cheaper because, life's expensive right now, but it also makes it into kind of a game, so we can guess what's in the present and who got what. And my dad got me this year, and he got me this. An N-gauge model of a 57XX pannier tank. 5786 to be exact. I was so excited, and if you've watched my channel before, you'll know pannier tanks are my favorite locomotive ever. So when I got this, I was so excited. I am really looking forward to seeing the pannier tank that's visiting Cranmore from the Llangollen Railway. That's going to be a fun day. So now I have a small Great Western Goods, and I was so excited. Now, going back to the track. So unfortunately, the Through Model Center didn't have all the track that I needed. They were still waiting on a delivery for some more new Pico track. And unfortunately, well, they put us on a waiting list, which was good of them, but they didn't quite have the delivery. So we had to source a track elsewhere. And this one was a bit more expensive because it is new, but at least it works. So we went on 2 rails to Sheffield, and we managed to find the set track that we needed. We went with set track so that we had a basis of what we wanted to do. After buying all the track, this was basically going to be it anyway, so we just went with what we knew. We got 4 ST6 left points, and we got an ST44, which is a curved point. And this is for the entranceway to the forest. This one was kind of pricey, sort of putting me back another £76.50, and that did include postage. That has to be taken into consideration for how much I spent as well, to be honest. Anyway, I did get some more track from the Froome Model Center anyway, just to finish the loop. And when we had all the track, we were finally able to start putting it all together. Now, putting the loops in wasn't a problem, actually. It actually was a lot easier than we thought, but the hard part was how to get about doing the sidings. Now, we went back and we realized that I didn't quite have enough track for me to be able to have, an engine shed and workshop siding that I originally wanted. We had enough for everything else, and we had some points and stuff. We didn't quite have enough for what was originally the plan. And this is partly because of, whilst we did, got a lot of information, did a little bit of research, and we had people helping us get an idea. Because this is all like new to us, instead of just building a random train set when you're a kid, you don't really realize how much proper and precise planning is needed to actually pull off what you're looking for. But that's okay, because after a little bit of deliberation between me, my dad, and actually my granddad, who came to visit for Sunday dinner, we actually were talking about how to best go about to get the sidings I wanted. And we decided that the best thing to do would be to have 2 different sidings on both sides of the track. Then we can get away with it that way. And we just about had enough track to be able to pull this off. And although it may look a little bit wonky and a little bit weird in the pictures here, it doesn't really matter too much because, one, the inner line, the heritage line, is not going to be a complete loop. It's going to be 2 stations going back and forward. And 2, it was also easier for my dad to be able to solder it all together.
The only hard part now having all the track laid out, is it's not going to be 100% to the original plan I had. So I am going to have to make some slight changes to the original design plan that I had, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. No one ever tells you when you start making a new layout, because this is actually my first time making a layout. The other layout I have, the 00 one, that was already built. That was actually an old one from, and I spoke about this before, an old family member who unfortunately went to the great beyond, and his family actually bequeathed me that amazing gift. So I know how to plan out certain things and make it look nice, but the technical stuff definitely did make it a lot harder for me to be able to get the right plan. But again, that's okay. I can always, look at the track layout again, make a new plan. It may work out better because I can actually have a proper back and forward between 2 different stations, one main station and one halt. Let me tell you a bit about what I was going for. So you guys know I go to Cornwall a lot, right? Well, one of my favorite places to go is the Bodmin Railway. And it's connected to one of the mainline stations. And I don't know if this is like a partnership with them in Bodmin Parkway, but I love the idea of old and new. So what I wanted to do was, because I wanted my layout to reflect the Great Western Railway, because, I am a Great Western boy, born in Somerset and all that. I don't have Thatcher's, but Inches is also a good cider. And I loved the idea of a heritage line being connected to the main line in a way. So the outer loop is going to be the main line. I'm going to look for some modern GWR trains, like 158s. I may even look into getting some design from an old nostalgic one, First Great Western. Because when I was a uni student, I sometimes used to, travel home for certain weekends with my parents, and it was before it changed to Great Western Railway. The first 2 years of my studies were handled by First Great Western, and I love that iconic blue and sort of purplish kind of livery. I find it very nostalgic. So I'm going to be looking for those as well. But I'm also going to get some GWR 158. So I'm going to try and see if I can get one of the Hitachis. I mean, yeah, they are not comfortable, but they look kind of slick. I mean, I can't comment on how effective they are. I'm sure they're fine. I only travel on those to go to Bodmin Parkway when my dad and I go. But also, but I might also try and see if I can find a Class 43 HST in Great Western livery. I mean, 43s are just cool. And for the heritage side, yeah, so Bodmin, I know they handle a lot of small prairies, so I'll get one of those. But what I love about the pannier tank is, again, Great Western, favourite locomotive, so amazing starting point. So I don't think it's going to totally change the initial plans I wanted. I might just have to change a few things, because there's still going to be like a forest sort of entranceway. There's still going to be some sidings, which I'm going to convert into sort of engine sheds. It'll just be a few small changes, and I guess nobody tells you when you start that plans will eventually change, but that's okay. That's just the way it is.
Anyway, I think I rambled enough. It's time to finally show you the track working, soldered, and functioning. You can see where Dad had soldered the track so that it all works in one conjunction. You'll see when I test the points in a minute how well it works. It's just so funny to see such a small little train next to big video game consoles. I don't know why. Listen to that. The clicks of those points is so satisfying. Almost like ASMR. You can kind of see where the plan doesn't quite line up with the track, which means I had more space than I thought I did for the outer, not the inner. As you can see, the pannier tank actually goes around the points so easily and drives so well. Unfortunately, I do not. When I had to nudge him for a minor stoppage, I kind of overshot it, not realizing I was speeding it up, not slowing it down. Oh god. You can actually see that the points, they look so big, yet they're so functional. I was mesmerized by just how something so small could be so intricate. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether I'm actually going to modify the wagons or locomotives to look more realistic. Maybe down the line, but I don't feel like I have to, since this is going to be for personal use for now. Anyway, as the pannier tank started running, I just spent hours and hours literally just watching it go round and round. Even without any scenery, assets, or stations or anything, it's just so fun to watch the locomotive go round and round and round. And for something that literally can fit in your pocket as well. The controller feels fantastic. Very responsive. It doesn't quite respond until you go up to 1, but I think that's the whole point anyway. I just need to learn to calibrate myself with that. But the pannier tank drives so smoothly, and because all the track has been pinned down so easily and securely, there's no like bumping or anything, which means I have a clean slate to start decorating, adding ballast and that sort of thing. So when I get to that stage, I honestly think this is going to look amazing. You see the guard and the brake van yet? I hope so, because again, I just didn't know that was there until I started playing with it. But when I did, it just gave me little giggles. I thought it was fantastic that I already had a starting base without even doing anything. So yeah, this is my update on my N gauge layout and all the progress so far. I'm sorry it took so long, but hopefully the wait was worth it.
Now, obviously, the big focal point that's gonna be a little bit of a sort of a complicated way of working is the fact that I have to consider that the wires that my dad made, they're quite big, so I need to find ways to sort of cover those. I may just double up on some gravel or something with some grass. It depends on, you know, how I want the engine sheds and all that to look, but I'm gonna have to think about it. But it is serviceable. It's honestly, I can still play with it, I can still have fun with it, and I can still start buying. I've already been buying quite a few more different wagons and things, so I'm already, you know, sorted in that front there. And I hope that you guys will join me on the ride. This has been a really fun project for me and my dad to undertake after Christmas, because this has been something I've been pining for a while, so that when I'm not back at theirs for Sunday roast or something, I have something to come home and play with if I've had like a really stressful day and want to escape to little trains. So again, please join me for the ride, and thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, if you want to see more updates on this or want to see other model train videos or just train videos in general, please subscribe to my channel. And that's all I have to say. Thanks again for watching. I'm going to start playing now, and I will see you guys down the line. Take care and goodbye. Look at him go. He's so small.